evening, and welcome to another episode of The Trees with your host, Matt
and Derek.
And tonight we're going to talk about the possibility of the existence of aliens and alien life as a whole. Derek, what do you think about that as a subject? Just touching on it as...
I'm on the fence for the most part. I definitely believe there's life out there. I'm not sure if it's close enough to us to be here, or maybe in the past previously. Obviously there's a lot of theories on that. We can get into more of that. But, for the most part, I'm on the fence.
Yeah. I'm becoming more and more certain at the possibility that there is most definitely just in the number of galaxies, just statistical numbers, the possibility of another intelligent life or intelligent species of whatever being around is probable at the very least. Whether or not, like you said, the distance in communication does present the first challenge, they would have to be a very advanced civilization to already know how to do, utilize things that, our scientists are still discovering, like wormholes and, gravitational fields, black holes for that matter. They would have to have mastered all of that stuff for sure. So there's not going to be many of those that we're aware of. But
yeah, for sure.
I definitely feel strongly like that aliens exist. I mean, there's... did you hear on Europa not too long ago that they discovered that there's water underneath the ice on the moon by Jupiter? It's called Europa.
No.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I've heard that. I've heard, basically any of the microorganism lives and stuff like that could always have that small chance of, developing in those kind of places where water is at.
Yeah.
I completely understand where, anywhere there's water, there's a pretty good chance of life. I completely understand that, and I'm definitely down for that theory. And, I agree with you, definitely any life form that's going to be coming this way has to have some super advanced technology. They're going to have to be definitely a super advanced race or, alien life form that has been around for a while. And you've seen how far Earth has gotten us, and we're basically almost at the point of destroying ourselves. So it's,
right.
Even if there is other lives, like if they've gotten far enough to where they have technology, did they already destroy themselves? It's...
Right. Now, that's a valid point, too. If you look at the one part of it, though, look at how far we've come in an argumentative standpoint. Look how far we've come as a species, the human race, in the last 10,000 years. Imagine a species just 1 million years older than us. At the rate that we're going, how advanced would we be? That's a valid question. If we didn't destroy ourselves. And that's what kind of aliens would have to have the kind of knowledge to be past that thing. I think warmongering is a lower consciousness thing that we as human beings do just because it's in we're literally programmed in one way or another. And some people will go as far as to say we were created by aliens, which is a whole other video. But there's viable proof in our DNA that we ourselves are made in an intelligent design pattern, whether that be, as most people call it, God, or some people call it aliens. You could look at it however you want. And I definitely believe, if you go throughout history, there's so many encounters that are documented throughout all civilizations across the world about aliens visiting, about us getting our technology from aliens. And, you wonder, were these people speaking metaphorically or were they being literal? And, there's a lot of mounting evidence recently that is starting to make me question just how much our own government knows about alien life and its existence.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. For every, my cow was tipped upside down by aliens and cornfields have, crop circles, and all that stuff. There's, pretty good legitimate, sources that have been like, hey, I'm a U.S. pilot. I'm seeing these things on my radars. Like, I think we mentioned it last time, the Tic Tac video.
Yeah, the Pentagon's been releasing videos like crazy.
Oh, yeah. They're now allowing, I think you mentioned it to me earlier, that they're actually allowing, officers who have actually seen things actually come out and actually report on these things they've reported, they've seen.
Yep, new legislative bill just passed by Congress. You're right.
No, yeah, no, I completely agree. I think I've even heard a theory that, if we are ever going to be visited at this point in time, or if we have, it's probably like these billionaire, like alien people that are like just super rich people that can actually afford to come to this place.
Yeah.
And they probably have some like, hey, you really can't interfere, like it goes against, until they,
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure most, shows have their own, like, like, they have like, rules that you can engage with, them until they get to a certain point in their, history, which, I definitely think, we'll get in there. We're about to go to Mars. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
In the next, 10 years or so.
Elon thinks he can get us there pretty quick.
Yeah.
And to that point, I've actually now seen enough evidence to realize and enough knowledge base on my own that if an alien wants to visit Earth and has the capacity to visit Earth, they also have the capacity not to be seen in broad daylight if they don't want to be. You don't think that an alien being or a craft capable of crossing the galaxy couldn't turn itself invisible, really? So I wonder, is it something that we as a human species need to raise our consciousness before we're even aware of their presence, if there is one? But true aliens would have no need to, make themselves known. They would look at us as any species capable of that's past warfare, in my opinion.
I mean, they're looking at ants basically at that point.
Correct.
I mean, really,
we would be monkeys to them.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, apes at best.
And I've heard theories that even if, unless they're somehow immortal, like they're not going to live from, because like I said, I mentioned earlier, like there's just no distant life planets that can even sustain life, even in our remote galaxy, light years, thousands of light years away. So just to get this far out that deep space, they're going to have some type of robotic, AI type device. Not maybe AI, but more robotic or like cybernetic type thing, where it's basically a host for their consciousness. Because organic life just does not live long enough for that travel unless they've mastered some type of stasis sleep, or they have some type of robotic, type of thing. Then, I think I've heard people even talk about that's why a lot of these things are gray, that they're being reported seeing. And that's just the government trying to shut us down, don't worry about it. But, the grays of some they've been talking about could actually be just, outer,
androids.
Yeah, basically androids.
No, you hit it on the nail.
Because
you really did.
They would just have to be so advanced, like I said, unless they're somehow either just they live forever, or just their time, our existence of what we consider like long is just super short to them.
Correct.
And it's super irrelevant timeline, which is again why they would have nothing to do with us at that point. Like, oh, look at them, I blinked and like 3 of them died. And,
right.
Something like that.
Right. And we're just a speck in the galaxy, in all of the big picture of the universe and all that considered, we think of ourselves so high and mighty, but in all honesty, we're just a speck in the dust. We're a single planet species at this point. Any alien life that would be visiting us would have to at least be interplanetary, at least have 2. And what's to say they don't colonize at that point? When you're able to become interplanetary, in my view now, you would have the ability to colonize anything, whether it be a habitable planet at first or not. You could terraform it. You would have the power to terraform. You would have the power to turn it into a habitable planet within a certain amount of time, and certainly expand the conquest reach. But yeah, just like you said, Greys, the most popular running theory on Greys, that the ones that are being sent by, there's a certain alien species I've heard of called the Ebens, and the Ebens supposedly created the Greys to do their bidding for them. And the running theory is the Ebens just basically get the information sent back to them from the autonomous drones, which are the Greys, doing all the medical experiments, all that other stuff. Another theory is that the Greys are physically deformed actors playing a double Black Ops stunt. I'm not kidding you, man. Okay, so
we're about to get blacklisted, y'all. We're going to back us in a moment right now.
Deep fake. I'm not kidding you. Before deep fake was even anything to begin with, there's a guy called Richard Doty. That dude testifies about how he used to go on clandestine operations and literally had little people with physical deformalities dress up like aliens to go to people's houses to make them think that they were getting attacked. He said they even did the cattle mutilations at some points in the city. or I mean, in the country, not just the city. I'm not kidding you. This dude went all out serious. We'll have to talk about him another time.
This can be like an episode 5 or 6. You know.
Oh, we're gonna go on and on about this, folks. I'm not kidding you. There's so many. There's gonna be multiple parts to this series. He ain't lying.
This dog over here looks all depressed and stuff, listening to us.
But no, I definitely think there's strong evidence now being acknowledged as plausible that, you know, there's things that we are unaware of that are beyond our capacity to understand.
Yeah, fully.
And whether that be something that some people take as a religious aspect or some people take as a scientific aspect, from the scientific aspect, that's alien life.
Yeah.
You know, they've talked about, you know, radio signals. Like you said, the closest habitable, what they call a Goldilocks planet, something within a certain range of the sun, has to have water, has to stay at a certain temperature and have a certain orbit. The closest one is 1.7 something light years away. We're talking millions of miles.
And to explain, if anybody doesn't know what a light year is how long it takes light to travel that entire year. So you're going basically the speed of light for a solid year.
And light travels at 186,000 miles per second.
In a vacuum.
Correct. So we've yet to even achieve light speed that we know of.
Fraction.
But, you know, they even say that, you know, our government is so in tune with this that they have reverse engineered a lot of this alien tech. Our own government supposedly has captured alien vehicles and been reverse engineering the parts, the technology, to apply for our own benefit, which is how you advance as a civilization. Crashes, accidents happen. You know, if we are in some sort of shipping lane in the bigger picture of things, then, you know, people are going to pass by, or beings are going to pass by. But, you know, it makes you wonder, you know, there's supposedly, man, all sorts of insiders, people coming forward now. That military law that you talked about. Not only that, there was the law a couple of years ago that got passed about where Congress demanded the report that all the security agencies in America report on what information they had on UFOs. It was like a 17-page report. It was a big deal. It came out in January of last year.
I never look at that one.
Yeah.
Exactly that one.
Yeah. And they didn't produce nothing, though.
I mean, most of the time, if it's government stuff, they don't really produce much. You know, they sit on their hands most of the time.
Any information we're going to discover is going to have to be from independent sources, and it's a matter of belief, man. Do you believe in a bigger picture?
Yeah. You know, when I look up in the skies, I always wonder, and it's beautiful sometimes.
I question what this is. You know, I question what life is myself. I want to know, is this the end? Or is there something more that I haven't been made aware of? And if I haven't, how could I be made aware of it?
Oh, yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, not even just space itself. You know, we got interdimensional stuff. I mean, that might be another, like, episode 4, guys. Heck, that might be just episode 4, interdimensional stuff. But you never know.
We can talk about it.
Too much about government in this episode, and they, you know, bag us and tag us, you know.
Right. No, interdimensional travel is most certainly possible. Stargate, for instance, was written as science fiction, but more than likely, there's a lot of evidence that was science fact.
They actually have some pretty cool things, and I've heard a couple people talk about it. I've not actually seen the show myself, but I have a few people I follow that have seen the show.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the show is phenomenal, but the reality of Stargates existing is actually more and more plausible as we learn more about our physics as we progress. Yeah.
But yeah, no, I completely agree with that. You know, a lot of the wonders out there are just we basically know nothing outside of just, you know, looking at the telescopes. And even when we look at those, it's basically just looking at the past. You know, we're looking at what light, you know, is coming at us and what we perceived what it was millions of years ago. You know?
Right.
So I mean, we don't actually know what those things are still even there. We're just seeing pictures of basically when we're looking at telescopes.
Another 1,000 years from now, I really would see us, as long as we don't self-destruct like you've mentioned before, I could really see us traveling the stars on a regular basis if we're not already. But I definitely think that we have interplanetary vehicles that we're just not aware of. I fully believe that we have secret space programs, things that we're not aware of as far as the advancement of our civilization. I think the most of us have been held back in the release of that information, and most of it's for good purpose because, if you told everybody today and an alien ship landed on the White House lawn and the aliens walked out and said, hey, we're here to talk to everybody that we exist, the whole world would go nuts. You know they would go nuts.
I think, I don't know. I think we've seen so much crap now on TV that I think we'd be cool with it, honestly. I think some people would freak out, like the religious people, like the super, super religious people.
So the whole Bible Belt and the whole southeast corner
It's,
coast of
Oklahoma.
a third of the nation.
Wow. But
Okay.
I feel like
Right.
a lot of people really are pretty chill with it. I think it'd become, as long as they're peaceful, I mean, I think that's going to be where a lot of the other people are going to be like, do we really trust these people? That's where a lot of people are on the, like,
Well-
I'm like, I don't trust this dude. He's a lizard person.
Right, and so that kind of mindedness is what we would have to get past as a civilization before they're ever going to be worried about exposing ourselves to the general public. Only the people that actually need to know about it are going to know that they exist.
They've seen
if
our
they do.
TikTok stuff. They've seen our TikToks.
Well,
They're not
they-
coming
I'm
by
sure they
anytime
have.
soon.
I'm sure they
That's
have.
Definitely not on us. Anyway, yeah, so yeah, definitely, it's it's gonna be it'll be some time I think before it goes any further into the it's actually seeing them. All right, guys, that's wrapping up on episode 3 of In the Trees with Matt and Derek. We appreciate you guys watching, all the likes that you've been giving us. If you have any ideas for any future episodes, just definitely let us know. Leave a comment, let us know, like, hey guys, this is something you guys are going to talk about, Obviously, we definitely brought up some things we might be talking about, like interdimensional stuff. But guys, like I said, that's episode 3. And as long as we're not getting blacklisted by the government.
Oh. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Keep your eyes on the sky. We'll see you later.
All right, guys, thank you.